have brainwashed their fans, and more specifically LEGO Star Wars fans, which unfortunately includes me. Because not only did they convince us to buy multiples of the same set, they made two pretty much of the same set, and again convinced us to buy multiples of both of them. This is ridiculous. In 2007, LEGO released their first ever types of battle packs for LEGO Star Wars, starting off with 7654, which was the droid battle pack, and also 7655, which was a clone battle pack. And those sets, as well as quite a few of the iterations after, were tagged along with the phrase "Build Your Army," and this was honestly one of the best business decisions I think LEGO has ever made. 16 years later, and we have the latest version of the battle pack, which is set 76345, the 501st Clone Trooper battle pack. And if you feel like you have deja vu, you probably do, because in 2020, LEGO released the infamous LEGO 501st Clone Legion Troopers, which was kind of a battle pack, but also kind of not, because it really broke the sort of standard battle pack type of set style. But essentially, we've gotten the same set twice with the same Clone Legion, except this time they're a bit more of like the specialized clones, even though that isn't really listed in the name at all. Which makes this set sort of a sequel, and given how well the original 501st set sold, I mean, it is a pretty natural progression, though I don't think I expected it that soon after. Now, unlike the original as well, this does stick to more of the traditional battle pack style with 4 clone troopers as well as a side build. And even though this is more of a specialist pack and theoretically you don't actually need to buy that many of them, I still have the urge to buy more, and I've already completed my max copy that I allowed myself at 2. See, LEGO Star Wars offering minifigures in bulk that represented characters in universe that were in bulk was a fantastic business decision, because if you were stupid enough to, like me, you're gonna buy multiples of these things, and 9 out of 10 times they're just gonna sit in a box, and then the other one time you're gonna put them out side by side on a base plate like this. Luckily though, this set is at a cheap price point of $20 US, 32 Australian, and only 18 Great British pounds, which is a lot more tolerable, and I think as well makes it a lot easier to buy into this like whole army building phenomenon and craze, although I highly recommend you don't do it because it is very, very addicting. Because you could pick one of these up on your daily run to Target and it's really not gonna make that big of an impact in your wallet overall, as I guess a lot of the other larger Star Wars sets, which is why this is incredibly dangerous. While they're not quite as massable as the predecessor, because they're a lot cheaper, it just seems so much easier to go and buy multiples of these sets. They've really brainwashed their fans with this whole concept. I mean, then again, Disney has as well, just by offering, I guess, like stormtroopers and clones in universe in giant armies. It's bad. I am down too deep. First up is the officer, who is let down unfortunately by the printed waist cape and bulky new phase 2 helmets with the holes. He's not awful by any means, but a fabric waist cape would certainly go a very long way with this guy. Similarly, the heavy troopers are let down by the lack of a shoulder cape, though it's certainly not as dodgy looking as the officers. The visors though on the helmets I think look fantastic, and the rest of the printing looks really clean. And to my surprise too, they actually have these little packs on the back with a really awesome printed Republic tile, and they still have some really nice back detailing too when you take that off. Lastly is what I consider to be the best trooper in the pack, which is the Clone Specialist. There's no fabric prints needed this time on him, which really is the reason why I think he looks fantastic, because that torso print really looks amazing, and not to mention the amazing new binoculars piece that LEGO has molded. I think it's fantastic and is really the highlight of this guy. I think it suits the helmet really well, and it's such a nice variation as well from the rest of the troopers in this pack, as well as the Jet Troopers from the original 501st set. The build for the battle pack though is nothing special, though luckily it does actually work really well in numbers, I think, which really is perfect for a battle pack. The AV7 anti-vehicle cannon perfectly complements the AT-ST and the speeder from the original 501st set, I think, so if you've got a ton of those in bulk, this is going to look really nice and also look very different to the components from that set, given that it completely abandons the sort of blue and grey color scheme and just goes for a sort of more typical clone color scheme, just being pretty much overall grey with a couple bits of Republic red in there, which is really going to complement any type of clone trooper. So if you bought any of the clone command stations or ATTs or even Republic fighter tanks, all of those clones as well are going to go really nicely with this tiny build here. But really, this is more of just a side component because you are buying these for the 4 minifigures. And given that the build is so simple and that the minifigures do have quite a lot of problems with them, it's really why I feel like LEGO Star Wars and just LEGO has kind of brainwashed me in its entirety, because I really didn't need to buy these clone troopers. I have perfectly enough of these blue guys on their own, but given that the set is so cheap and that clones are so massable, it makes it so easy for me to just go in and buy such a small set and really not feel that guilty about it, even paying full price. I can just stick them all on my base plate and then really do nothing with them afterwards, but they complement these minifigures really nicely, even though the helmets are so much bulkier. Look, these guys have problems, but at the end of the day, they work with these guys, and it makes me mad because I feel like they could have been so much better. Ultimately, I really like this set, and I think a lot of that comes down to the fact that this is originally, I guess, what people wanted out of a 501st Battle Pack. However, they inflated it, made it a little bit bigger with battle droids, which I'm not necessarily mad at, but I know that I definitely would have been able to go and buy a ton more if it was a lot more affordable like this one was. And it makes sense for them to do a specialist pack and have a follow-up, but at the same time, I really wish that we had clones that were a little bit more massable. The logical part of me says go and buy more clones because they just look really good with each other side by side, and the other part of me is like, no, don't do that, save your money, you only need 2. LEGO Star Wars, and more specifically LEGO Star Wars clones, just have me absolutely whipped at this point, and I am not afraid to admit it. So if you're a fan of the prequels or the Clone Wars or even Battlefront 2, as a matter of fact, considering these guys directly came from the game, I would highly recommend this set. It is super cheap compared to a lot of other LEGO sets. It is really solid overall. Wouldn't quite work well as a display piece. I can see it being quite fun for play, but especially if you've got the original 501st set, I mean, it makes perfect sense to go and buy this thing. So go and get yourself some new clones and stick them on a base plate, because at the end of the day, that is really all that they are good for. And if you guys enjoyed this video, please give me a thumbs up, consider subscribing to my channel down below, and until next time, I'll see you later.